This is Licata Live. I'm Jen.
And I'm David, and we are your friendly advisors from the
Yes.
Licata Group. And we are here to talk a little bit about
There
real
we go.
estate as well as things that are going around in the marketplace just now.
Yes, yes. I'm happy today because we have 3, maybe 4 days of good weather. So I'm not a fan of cold.
But
So
you're from California, you should be. Well, no, you like cold, you like warm.
I,
Sorry,
I
that's
like
right.
warm.
That's
I
right.
like
That's
warm.
right. That's right. That's right.
I like decent weather. I like sunshine. I don't like gloomy
Yeah,
weather.
and I'm from Scotland, so it's like anything above 60 degrees is like a really great summer for me.
Right.
So this is, and we've got some colors coming in the trees now here in
Yeah.
Central Virginia. I like this time of year because there's no bugs.
There's no bugs yet. That's true. That's true.
There's no bugs. We can eat outside and it doesn't get too cold. And early in the mornings, if you go out for a walk, run, do whatever, it's nice and it's nice to do that as well.
That is
So.
true. That is true.
But let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. This has been such an interesting market, which the news media has been covering it mostly negatively for the last few months.
Yeah.
But it's actually not all negative. There's actually quite a lot of stuff that's positive in the market.
That's very true. I know everybody thinks um, the market's going to crash and home prices are falling, and I know people see the home price reductions on Zillow and things like that, but it's just not true. I mean, a lot of times people start out with overpricing their homes, and that's why you see those home price reductions. Um, and I think that if people realize if your condition matches your home to start, your home value, your house will sell.
Yeah, and this is something here which I'm not sure if we can actually share it with the there with the thing there, but home prices have actually never crashed. And here's some graphs from three pretty well known and respected uh, companies showing how the market and the house prices are actually still continuing to rise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because there was obviously the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
it was COVID, but they now refer to it as the unicorn years,
Yep.
where prices were ramping out of proportion. It was very very high increases, and we're now back in a sort of market where things are fairly level, but
Yep.
still at 1, 2, 3, even 5% year over year is the reality of what's happening. Values are still rising.
Yes, they are.
And there's still a shortage of homes.
Yes.
Yes, there's a shortage of a certain type of buyer right now because of what's happened to the mortgage rates. It's very hard for first-time buyers to get in. Hard to save to try to keep up with what's going on with your mortgage payment. But you've actually had, and so have I, we both had a couple of situations recently where our listings have said, well, we've got an assumable loan.
Yeah.
And it's something we haven't had too much of. But talk a little bit about that, Jen.
Yeah. So an assumable loan, it's becoming a little bit more common. And it's not that complicated. Actually, it takes a little bit of time. So if you have time on the seller side and the buy side, it's something that can be talked about. So the buyer has to qualify with the seller's current lender, the lender that holds the current mortgage. And if that's a possibility and that works out, then the buyer would also have to bridge the gap between the current mortgage and the list price. And that's typically made up with cash. And so if that part works out as well, then you can move forward with assuming the loan. But these loans are typically, at that 2.75 to, up to 4%. And those are good loans to assume. So if you can make all of that work and you have 2 to 3 months and it works out for everybody involved, then that's definitely a possibility to work with.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you think last week's rates were in the, I think, average 7.6 or 7.65. And if you get a house that we've got listed or that we find for a client and they've got an assumable loan at 2.75 or under 3, that's a huge difference in monthly payment that it's really worthwhile to try and make it work.
Definitely.
And get in there, because in the long run, you'll be saving money and building equity in the house that you've bought. So
definitely. And the two most common loans that are assumable is your VA and your
Mm-hmm.
FHA.
Yeah.
And the VA is easily done VA to VA,
Right.
and that works out typically pretty well.
We've got and we have a lot of those
Mm-hmm.
people living in our area,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you can have some active duty staff and so on that are getting moved from base to base still as part of as part of their career,
Mm-hmm.
and those people have loans also that come up. You just
Yep.
had one people group going to Colorado, and
Mm-hmm.
they had one that was available to assume. So yeah, it's something that not all markets in America have it. We certainly do have it in this
Mm-hmm.
area, and it is that is helping some of those people that need a mortgage and don't want to pay 7.65% for
Yep.
a mortgage. So
So there's always options
yeah,
for buyers. So definitely reach out to us if you have questions on what can work and what your options are. Because just because you don't think you can afford, the rates right now or a certain price home or whatever, ask your questions. We're here to help.
definitely, definitely. Um, in terms of the actual market, I think we've got over 40 properties just here in the lake area here. We've got about
Hmm.
40 properties on the market now, which is actually a high number from where we've been at certain points. The data is showing that houses are sitting a little longer on the market,
Yeah.
but still a house that's well priced, that's in good condition. You talked about condition
Hmm.
earlier on. It sells,
Yep.
and they always do. So if you see something that's been sitting for too long, it may be the price, it may be the condition. There's probably something that's wrong with it. But in our team, the way we advise people is to price it right and make sure the condition's good. Make sure the condition's good.
Yep. Definitely. I was thinking about how there's a lot of different options, like if you need to sell and buy, and how people think that that's not a possibility, but
Mm-hmm.
we do a lot of that too, where you can put your house on the market and get it ready and get an offer, and then you can go pick out your house to be able to buy. That's an option too. So if you're looking to buy but you need to sell, again, you can reach out to us and we can kind of explain in more detail how that works.
Yeah, and because we do work with quite a lot of buyers, we've been seeing that um, there are opportunities for the buyer to get some concessions if maybe they
Mm-hmm.
need some money for closing. We've seen quite a few contracts recently where we've been able to get a buyer into a house even though they had a house to sell, just like what
Yep.
you were saying. Obviously, the stronger their position is, like if they do have a house to sell, make sure you've first of all got it on the market
Yes.
before you start writing offers. B, if you can have the house under contract,
Mm-hmm.
that's a stronger position to be in. And I just had that this past weekend with some people. And then C, be flexible with the closing dates and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
to make it work. This weekend was one where the sellers were building a new house and needed a little bit more time because they weren't exactly sure when the builder was ready. And my buyer said, well, yeah, we got it. Our house is going to close on this date, but we want this house, and we will be flexible on the closing date, and we made it work. So
Yeah.
um,
If you can, so buying and selling homes, it works better if you can compromise with your buyer or seller. If you go into it thinking it's this or nothing, then it's not going to work well for you, and you're going to either lose out on the house you want or lose out on the sale of your home. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to compromise and make it workable for all parties involved.
definitely. Well, I think there's a few fall events going on around the Fredericksburg, Culpeper, Central Virginia area that are coming up, and I hope we'll be out attending some of them. Hopefully, we'll see some of you out there, and